Movies with Ron.
Hell yeah, motherfucker.
Movies with Ron.
You're listening to Movies with Ron, the podcast where my older brother surprises me with a movie he saw because I don't go see him anymore, and he explains the whole thing to me from beginning to end. If you're listening right now, trust me, you'll like his versions better. It's okay if you've seen the movie. It's okay if you haven't seen it. The experience is unique, so just trust me. I'm Chris, your MC for the time being. Across from me is our sound guy, Rick.
Hola.
And with us tonight, the lone star to our Spaceballs, Ron.
Hey guys.
How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's been a bit of a rough week. How about you guys?
I'm doing all right. It's Christmas, man.
Hell yeah.
Christmas time, Christmas lights, all the music.
Melikilinaka is the way to say.
I asked you guys, who would you cast as Santa Claus? Rick, what do you got?
Meatloaf.
Yeah?
He's
hey,
big, he's lovable, and he can sing.
Not bad.
Oh, yeah, the singing. Forgot about that. I thought you only picked him because of Fight Club. He's a big bowl full of jelly in that movie. But yeah, he's great. Ron, what do you got?
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah?
I think he could do it.
What kind of Christmas movie would that be?
A mean, tough one.
In the Wild West?
Be like, ho, ho, ho.
Did they have Santa Claus back then? In the Wild West?
I don't know.
Like he could be like a
It could
a
be
lone rider.
like a Dirty Harry Santa Claus.
Get off of my North Pole.
Get off of my pole.
Who do you got?
Ian McShane.
Who's that?
Who is that?
You will know him exactly when I show him to you.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah. The dude from John Wick who
Yeah.
owned the hotel.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
he was also in Deadwood.
John Wick shows up in the club in the basement of the hotel, and he's the guy sitting at the table like, Jonathan.
Yeah. He's always like a smooth motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
his Santa movie, he would always he looks gritty, like, or he'd be part of a Santa mythology kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole time, Ian McShane is just fucking smooth Santa. Fucking Ian McShane. Yeah.
That's the name of that movie. Smooth Santa.
Hey, Ian McShane has played Santa before.
What?
It was in American Horror Story in the season 2 with the, what was it? The Asylum.
Yeah.
He played like a psychotic killer or some guy who had a psychotic break, started killing people, but he was in his Santa suit the whole time. That's as close as we can get to what you are talking about. But he did it
was
like
he smooth?
He did it like real smooth.
All right.
He was like the Hannibal Lecter of the fucking asylum.
Okay. See, I feel better now.
And at one point, they took all of the fucking they got all of the staff like out of the way, and they just like let everybody out, like all the inmates or something were just like had free reign for a little while, and he was like back in his suit. Yeah.
All right.
I fucking knew it when you said that. I was like, I have seen this before.
I want to recommend a movie for people. It's from 2013. Quentin Tarantino said it was the best movie of the year that year. It's called Big Bad Wolves.
Oh yeah.
And last time I checked, it was on Netflix.
Yep, it still is.
Big Bad Wolves is an Israeli film, which you don't see much of. And this one's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
It's about there's a pedophile in this community that somehow gets off on a technicality, right? But everyone thought he murdered this child, and the child's father takes him prisoner, right?
Yeah.
Does his own private justice.
Oh yeah.
Private Justice.
He tore him apart to pieces.
There's a cop that's after him, and they were doing private justice, him and his partner, and they were beating him up,
Yeah.
and then some kid filmed it and put it on YouTube. So then they had to let him go.
Okay.
And then the girl that was missing showed up headless. So it's like, then the cop was then blamed for the girl being killed because of his private justice.
Okay.
So then he was ousted from the force, and that's when the father went to go get him. So the father is going after him to kidnap him, but not before the cop, the ex-cop, has already kidnapped him and is going to torture him himself. So then the father actually captures both of them. Has to take him to his house.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then hijinks ensue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's kind of torture pornish.
It doesn't quite go there. Does a little bit.
Punish.
So while these like Israeli people are doing this thing going on, there's that scene where the cop, I don't know, but it's an Israeli guy. He's coming out of the house, and then there's a Palestinian dude rides up like on a horse, and so you've got this small like drama going on in the movie, but then you're like reminded of this like weird awkwardness between these two societies. I don't know, it's weird. It kind of made the film
Racially uncomfortable.
I was going to say like another level of the theme and stuff.
Yeah, the conflict.
Yeah. But yeah, if you got Netflix, look up Big Bad Wolves. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right, folks, if you like what you hear, hit subscribe, add us to your favorites, and if you're using iOS, leave us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. Also, we're on Twitter, Instagram, @movieswithron, Facebook group, and send us an email at movieswithron@gmail.com. So you want to cut to the chase?
Let's jump right in.
All right. What'd you go see?
Office Christmas Party.
Oh.
It was good, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was funny.
I wasn't sure what to think of it.
It kind of reminded me from the preview of that movie, Sisters.
Yeah, that's a big party.
Yeah. Big party movie.
Yeah. That's kind of a big lead up, though.
It is?
Does Office Christmas Party start when the party starts?
No.
Oh.
Well,
Wouldn't that be a good movie?
No, it has to set up conflict first.
Yeah, I guess. There's like a shitload of people in it, right?
Yeah, dude. Whole bunch of comedians.
There's Jason Bateman, TJ Miller,
Yeah,
that dude from... He's a funny guy.
he is so funny.
Yeah. Is he big in this movie?
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston, Kate McKinnon from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, dude. She was big in this movie.
Rob Corddry, I like him.
Uh-huh.
Karan Soni, it's like an Indian guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always funny.
He was actually in Deadpool with TJ Miller.
Oh, yeah.
He played the cab driver. You know who Olivia Munn is?
Yeah, she's Psylocke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You never saw that, did you?
No.
It was lame. Yeah, but she's cool.
Yeah, she's a good actress, too. She was in that...
That Aaron Sorkin show, Newsroom.
Yeah. Newsroom.
Yeah.
That was a good show.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the movie begins with Jason Bateman meeting with his divorce lawyer.
Uh-huh.
And he has just finalized his divorce, and his ex-wife got all of his money. And his lawyer's like, yeah, hey, and here, by the way, Merry Christmas. And he's like, oh, thanks, man. What is this? And he's like, oh, it's my final bill. So then he's getting off the train. He's going to work, and he's talking on the phone with his mother, who's like asking if his ex-wife is still coming for Christmas. He's like, no, Mom. Because we're divorced, Mom. So once he gets into the office, then we meet Mary, who is the HR lady. And that is that chick from Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Kate McKinnon.
Yeah.
And she's all weird and like wearing this multi-denominational holiday sweater so no one gets left out, because that's her whole thing is HR. She's tries to keep everything politically correct and inoffensive.
Yeah.
So it just goes through the office of the it's the morning and people are talking and stuff, and we meet a bunch of these characters in the movie for the first time, like the Deadpool cab driver.
Yeah.
He's like this, like, nerdy computer guy who's talking in the break room to these two guys about his girlfriend. And they're like, yeah, man, you're so full of shit. You don't have a girlfriend. You know? He's like, no, really. She's a model. It's great. And they're like, yeah? Does she model for Full of Shit magazine? Jason Bateman walks in and he's like, hey, don't worry about them, man. They're just jealous, you know. But, you know, maybe stop talking about her so much at work, you know. Because it makes everybody jealous. Shit, even I hate you, man. You know, come on, man. And I know. He's like, she is real, though. And he's like, yeah, no, I believe you, man. But maybe you shouldn't talk about her so much. And he's like, oh, okay. Nate is also those two guys' boss that are like constantly making fun of him. So then we meet Tracy, who is Olivia Munn, and she is the technology genius for the software company that they run called Xenotech.
Oh, okay.
And you can tell that there is some sexual chemistry between her and Jason Bateman. Like, they may or may not have a past or whatever, but they're pretty close.
Uh-huh.
And they talk about how Jason Bateman kind of bunts now with opportunities for the company where she wants to swing for the fences because she's talking about this new idea she has. And he's like, oh, it's definitely not ready. It's not ready, you know. She's like, yeah, okay, whatever, thanks. And he's leaving, and they're like, they admit that they got each other for Secret Santa.
Uh-huh.
And that's supposed to be like, we're connected. Then we meet Jason Bateman's secretary, who is talking to her ex-husband on the phone. And she's like, I swear to fucking God, if you let that stripper girlfriend of yours put our kids on her motorcycle, I will gone girl you so fast, motherfucker. And then she just looks at Jason Bateman and is like, oh, hi, good morning. So then he walks into TJ Miller's office, who is on the phone. He's like the head man of the company. Or it turns out this branch, the Chicago branch of the whole company. And he's on the phone, and he's like, talking like a fucking businessman. And he's, giving this guy all this shit on the phone. And he fucking says, like, what do you think this is? My first rodeo? And then Jason Bateman looks at his computer screen and sees that he's talking about fantasy football. Okay, so Jason and TJ, they have to go out and buy a bunch of shit to give away as presents at the Christmas party that they're going to have tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And while they're out, they're driving, and TJ is like, man, look at that bridge over there. And there's a drawbridge, like, going up. It's the kind that, like, splits in the middle and goes and raises up. And he's like, how fast do you think you'd have to go to, like, make that jump, man? You know? Like fucking Vin Diesel and fucking The Rock, you know? Like, you think you go, like, 80, 90, 100 miles an hour? He's like, man, your mind is like a drunk baby. And he's like, yeah, I guess. Anyway, they're, like, in this high-end fucking store, and they're looking around at stuff to buy, and he's like, how about this? It's like a personal massager. And it's just, like, obviously a fucking dildo. He's like, we don't give dildos away, man. He's like, it's not a dildo. He's like, you need to calm down. Lighten up. And he hands him a fucking Nerf gun, okay? And this is, like, in, like, Macy's or something like that. It's, like, so nice. There's this giant fucking Christmas tree in the middle and shit, and they get into a fucking Nerf gun fight. And it's funny for a second, and then TJ, like, backs into the Christmas tree, which is, like, 20 fucking feet in the air and surrounded by all of this expensive shit. He bumps into the Christmas tree, and it, like, totters for a second, and, like, they're like, whoa, shit! And then it stops. And then TJ's like, okay, it's fine. And everybody else in the store is, like, looking at him, and he's like, it's fine, everybody. And then it falls. It crashes over everything, and they just run. So then it cuts to Jennifer Aniston, and she's just arriving at the office building. She is actually the interim CEO of the company.
Uh-huh.
And I guess she works out in New York. And she calls this big meeting of all the department heads, and she's all pissed off that everything is Christmassy. And so they're in this board meeting, and she's like, yeah, you guys suck, the Chicago branch. And Jason is like, no, I know we didn't hit our goal of 7% profit last year, but, 6.5 isn't bad. And she's like, you have to hit 12 now. And he's like, what the fuck? Everybody goes crazy. And they're all arguing with her and everything. And she's like, they're like, whoa, at least we're not doing as bad as the Orlando branch. She's like, yeah, I just closed them this morning. So, you have to hit 12%, which means, you're going to have to do a bunch of cuts. You're going to have to lay off like 40% of your staff, and there's no Christmas bonuses or anything like that. And everybody goes fucking crazy. So it's all tense in the room, and then somebody farts. And it's like, and it turns out that it is Mary, the HR lady. And she's like, I'm sorry, it's just really stressful. And when that happens, I fart. And Jennifer Aniston is like, yeah, you guys suck. No one has any new ideas or anything like that. And then Tracy is like, hey, I got this new idea. You want to hear it? And she's like, oh, yeah, sure. And she talks about this new technology that she's working on that will turn every electronic device in your home into a Wi-Fi, like, router.
Yeah.
You'll get-
augmenter.
Yeah, like you can get Wi-Fi signal off of the ceiling fan in your fucking living room and shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, wow, no, that sounds amazing. How long have you been working on this idea? And she's like, 4 years. And she's like, okay, so that's nowhere near happening. Okay, that's a good idea, though. That's nowhere near being real. And then fucking Olivia Munn is like, yeah, well, if it was real, I wouldn't have to invent it. She's like, I'm sorry, who are you? I'm Tracy so-and-so. And if you forget my name again, it's on all of the patents for this company. So know who you're dealing with, bitch. Anyway, this technology she has invented is called Anywhere. And then Mary is like, so I just wanted to show you guys a sample of the cheese board that we're going to be having at the holiday mixer tonight. And she puts all this fucking cheese on the table. And then everybody's like, ooh, cheese. And Jennifer Aniston's like, no, you're not having a Christmas party. That's canceled. That's a fucking waste of money. And TJ is like, okay, you know what? You're right. It's canceled. And then he like looks around at everybody and is just like shaking his head like, no, it's not canceled. And she's like, yeah, it's canceled. I can fucking see you doing that, asshole. He's like, yeah, no, you know what? You're totally right. There's no way we're doing this. And he looks at everybody. He's like, there's no way this is happening. And then he looks over at Mary and he just like winks. And then she like winks back like, yep, I gotcha. She's like, I can fucking see you guys doing that. No party. It's canceled. So then TJ's like, well, all right. Well, if the party's canceled, then this meeting is canceled. And he fucking runs out and goes back to his office. So then Jason and Jennifer Aniston follow him into the office. And you see that he's got his father's ashes on his shelf because his father's the guy who started the company. And she talks about how he was always Dad's favorite, and he just like gave him the fucking Chicago branch and everything, and like she always had to do all the hard work and everything, and how he's the fun one.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's cool, but I'm the CEO. And he's like, interim CEO. And it like pisses her off, and she attacks him, and they get into a fucking wrestling match on the floor. And she fucking gets him in like a headlock and makes him tap out. Jason Bateman's like, what are you doing? No. And she's like, in our family, you have to tap out. He's turning blue. He'll tap out. And then he does. And then Jason's like, is there any way we can avoid all of this bullshit where people don't lose their jobs? We've got so many people, depending on us and everything. She's like, yeah, if you can hit your numbers, you know what? If you can land the Data City account, that's a $14 million contract. Yes, everyone can keep their jobs. And they're like, all right, we won't let you down. So then she leaves, and then everybody comes to them, and they're like, we heard that there's going to be layoffs. Oh, my God. Like it's already gotten around the office. Mm-hmm. And everybody's freaking out and talking about jumping ship. And then TJ stands up, and he makes a Christmas promise from him and Jason Bateman that no one is going to lose their jobs this Christmas. Then they're in the men's room, and he sees some bathroom graffiti, which is a drawing of himself getting fucked in the butt by his sister. He's all pissed off. And he's like, incest and rape? What the hell? Is this how you see me, Jason? So then they have their meeting with the Data City guy. His name is Walter Davis. They're sitting down, having lunch with him and everything, and, scotches. And he's like, yeah, you guys, your servers are great, but, Dell's servers, they're great too. And they're like, oh, okay, so you're going to go with us, right? And He's like, no, I'm going to go with Dell. And they're like, no, why? And he's like, because of their culture, you guys' culture. I hear you guys are like closing down offices and laying people off. That's not a family, that's not a tight-knit community of people. And they're like, oh, no. That has nothing to do with us. We'll show you our culture, And he's like, well, it's fine. You know what? I'm going to pass. So I'm sorry. And then he leaves. And they're like, you know what? He's an old school guy drinking scotch at lunch. He just needs to be wined and dined. He needs to be shown a good time. And then they decide to do that at the Christmas party tonight. That now that Jennifer Aniston is leaving town, she's going to fly out. Okay, she's flying to London. And she had told him that if they landed him as an account by the time she landed, then they could all keep their jobs.
Okay.
So now that she's gone, they're going to throw the party again. And there's this big montage of them renting all the shit and setting it up and everything. They look at him and they're like, hey, Walter, give us one more chance to show you our culture. And then T.J. Miller just goes, do you party? And the guy like turns around and goes, I used to. So now they're doing the big party planning montage and shit. And it shows them buying all this alcohol and these fucking truckloads of ice and everything and setting up like snow machines. And fucking TJ's bringing in reindeer in the fucking elevator. And they're like, where did you get these reindeer? And he's like, it would be better if I just didn't say. And Jason's like, what are we going to do with them after the party? Then we got another scene of Nate being told he's full of shit about his girlfriend and stuff. And Mary is now on full alert because the Christmas party is happening. So she's printing all these signs and posting them all over the office that say, like, behave yourself and stuff. And they're just setting everything up. And they're like, all right, everybody go home and get dressed for the party. Let's do this. So then Jason Bateman is in his little bachelor pad apartment, which is like one tiny room.
Uh-huh.
And there's a knock on the door, and it's Jennifer Aniston. She comes in and she fucks with him about, did you get divorced because of your robe there? I just wanted to see your awesome bachelor pad. Okay, I guess I've seen it now, because it's so small. And then she's like, I just have one thing to say to you. Come and work for me in New York. And he's like, what? I can't do that. I can't leave Chicago. I can't leave TJ. And she's like, TJ is going to run this company into the ground and then have a fucking trust fund to fall back on. Okay? What are you going to do then? And he's like, oh. And then she leaves. So the party is beginning. Even like the big giant security lady downstairs is like wearing an evening gown.
Yeah.
Okay? And she has like a fucking taser gun in her garter belt. And she's all big and she's mean to everybody that walks through. Including Jeremy, who is Rob Corddry. And he's like, what the hell are you looking for? What's your dream contraband, damn it? He's always pissed off at everything happening. And he's the one who's always talking about, I just started to fucking like it here and everything's fucked now. We're all fucked. Walter Davis shows up. And they're like, oh yeah, come on in for a drink. This one couple brought their fucking child because they couldn't find a babysitter. And Jason is like, yeah, I guess just put him in my office, They're like, don't worry, he's got his iPad, he'll just sit here the whole night with that same dumb look on his face. See, that's the one right there. And it just shows him playing with his iPad. Okay, so it's cool? You're cool with us putting him in your office? And he's like, well, I'm not exactly cool with it, but sure. So the party is just starting to get rolling, and it's still pretty lame. And there's this snow machine, and it shows Mary setting it up. And the way you do it is you take these little bags, these little clear plastic bags full of this like paper shreds or whatever, and you just drop it into the top of the gun, and then it just blows fucking paper shreds everywhere. And every so often it has to be loaded. Okay?
Okay.
This comes into play later. Then we cut to TJ in his office, in the bathroom in his office, and he's in his Santa suit, and he's praying to God in the mirror. And he's like, I just want, please, I'm just so worried about these people that are depending on us, and Dad taught me to care about your employees and treat them like family. So please let this be a huge success, okay? And you know what? Say hi to Dad for me. Okay, I'm rocking his Santa suit. And then he turns to go away, and then he comes back. He's like, oh, and also say hi to Prince and David Bowie for me, okay? You know, Labyrinth, Purple Rain, that shit's amazing. So then he comes out, and he's like, all right, everybody, let's get it started. And he's at the top of the stairs in the Santa suit, and he takes a sled, and he's going to slide down the fucking stairs, okay? And as he's going down the first flight of stairs, which then turns, he like tries to turn the sled. It doesn't turn at all, and he just flies over the side and hits a bunch of shit, and it's like all serious. Everybody's like, oh my God, are you okay? And he gets up and, no, I'm fine. There was this one guy in the office when they were planning the party, like, what are we going to do? How are we going to get a DJ so soon? And this one guy is just like, oh, I know a DJ, you know. I'm best friends with him. He'll do it. And they're like, great, that's awesome. Okay, and it turns out that it's just him. And his name is DJ Calvis. And he's like, let's do this. And he starts talking and yelling into the microphone at the whole party, which is still very like humdrum.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, it's time to get your dicks and pussies out. And shit like that. And fucking Mary comes over and she's like, now listen, you can't do that. And she like keeps taking the microphone out of his hand. And she's like, don't get your dicks and pussies out. You know, don't do that. You can't do that here. He's like, oh, let's make some babies tonight. She's like, if you're going to make any babies, I need you to do it off of the company property over in the Rite Aid parking lot. Okay. And he's like, all right, come on now. And she's like, yeah, you know, just don't make any babies on the property. And he's like, yeah, I'm talking about take your pee-pees and put them in some booties. That's what's going to happen tonight. So then it cuts to TJ's secretary, the one with the ex-husband that she was going to go Gone Girl on. And there's this Asian dude who is, you know, he's pretty quiet and he's kind of a nerd, and he likes her. And he's like, yeah, so you know, I see that you know, you're coming to the party. You're by yourself, you know, you're a single mom. And she's like, yeah, you know, I'm single, but what are you going to do? And he's like, no, I think it's wonderful. You know, I was raised by a single mother. And she's like, oh, really? And he's like, oh, yeah, you know. And he's like, it's just like Tupac said, you know, ain't no bitch can replace my mama. And she's like, yeah, that's great. Okay. And he's like, yeah. And then Tracy walks in with Jimmy Butler, who is on the Chicago Bulls, like to try to give some star power to the party.
Oh, all right.
So everybody's like going crazy about him. And Rob Corddry is like, yeah, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's Jimmy Butler. Hey, Jimmy, fuck you. And then he just goes, oh my God, I have no idea why I did that. Like he's just so like excited at a celebrity. And then Jason Bateman is like, he like sees what's going on. And he looks at Tracy and he's like, yeah, are you like dating Jimmy Butler? She's like, no, asshole, I told you. I knew somebody who knew him. He's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just making sure. She's like, what is your problem? And then it cuts to Nate, the cab driver dude, who is now frantically on his phone trying to hire an escort, okay, to play his full of shit girlfriend that he's been telling everybody about. He goes down to the parking garage to meet her. She pulls up in a car, and she gets out. She's, you know, just this young, pretty chick. She's a hooker, and she's, you know, dressed all slutty, and he's all nervous. Like he's never seen a girl before, and he couldn't believe that she's going to be his girlfriend and everything. And he gets his money out, and she's like, oh, you got to pay my manager. And then this giant dude gets out of the car and he walks around, and then he opens up the other door of the car, and then this like nice little blonde lady gets out. And she gets up and she's like, yeah, you know, how's it going? Oh, I like this guy. Look, his money is out. He is prepared. And she takes it from him. She's like, you know what? I'm not even going to count this. You know why? And he's like, why? And she's like, because we're friends, aren't we? And he's like, yeah, I guess. And then she pulls a gun on him and goes, no, we're not friends. You know, so if you're going to fuck with my girl or fuck with me, I just can't guarantee what's going to happen. She's got the gun in his fucking face, and then she like puts the gun to her own head. And she's like, I just can't tell what's going to happen. You know, it's been it's a crazy season, okay? I got everybody wanting to do all this weird shit around Christmas and everything, and it's just nuts, okay? So you just be on your best behavior. And he's like, yes, ma'am. So then it shows TJ and he's in the Santa suit and people are walking up and sitting on his lap for the party and he's like giving them presents. And the Santa's chair that he is in is the Game of Thrones throne made out of fucking swords. Okay, and this one lady sits on his lap and he's like, so what would you like? And she's like, 1 vibrator, please. And he's like, man, these are a hit. And then Jeremy comes up to Jason and he's bitching about Mary and how she's going to write him up for stuff and he just hates her and all of her rules. And Jason is walking around with Walter Davis trying to show him a good time at the party, which still sucks. So he's going to get him a scotch at the bar. And at the bar is a big ice sculpture of like a fucking like chimpanzee or something holding a fucking French horn backwards so that the bell of the horn is at his ass and then the mouthpiece is sticking out like his dick. Okay? And they're like, what the hell's that? And the bartender's like, that's the eggnog luge. And he's like, come on, you got to try it. And then the whole party starts chanting, luge, 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 luge. And fucking Jason Bateman's like, no, I don't want to do it, you know. And then fucking Walter Davis is like, I think they want you to do the luge, man. So it looks like you better. So now he has to do it because the important client wants to see it. So, yep, he fucking puts his mouth on this fucking penis of this fucking statue. And then the guy pours the eggnog in and it starts to get too much for him. And everybody is fucking going crazy. They love it. They're all taping it and everything. And then all this eggnog, all this creamy eggnog just explodes out of his mouth. And it gets all over him and shit. It was funny. He gets done with that and he's like cleaning himself up and he looks around for Walter Davis and Walter Davis is gone. Like he got bored and left. And then they see across the party that he is standing there talking to Mary. And they're like, no. Because Mary sucks. She's like all, you know, not fun at all. They walk up to them and hear Mary giving him like a talk about sadness. And she's like, you know, I can give you some literature, some brochures about sadness. And, you know, just like totally fucking bringing him down. Okay. Like, why are they talking about fucking sadness, right?
Is he like interested though?
No, he's just like, yeah, okay, that's nice. That's great.
Okay.
And she just like got her claws into him. And TJ looks at Jason and Tracy and he's like, you know what? You guys need to do what you did last year. And they're like, no, that was awful. Nobody liked that. He was like, are you kidding me? Everybody loved it. Go and do it. Do it now. And then it shows on the dance floor, Nate dancing with the hooker. Okay. And she's dancing like a fucking super slutty stripper. Okay. And he's like having the time of his life. And he's like, wow, you're really good at dancing. And then she looks at him and goes, oh, thank you. Let me know if you want me to like dance sexy or something. And he's like, okay. And then she's about to leave and he's like, where are you going? And she's like, well, you know, I just wanted to let you know, I'm going to need the rest of the money. And he's like, what are you talking about? I gave you $200. And she's like, oh, that's only for the first hour. You know, if you want me for the night though, it's going to be $2,000. And he's like, what? No, the website specifically said $200 a night. She looks at him. She's like, do I look like I cost $200 a night? And he's like, okay, I'll go to the ATM. Just, you know, because the two guys that make fun of him were walking up because they saw what was happening. He's like, okay, anything. That's fine. So then, she acts like his girlfriend and they're all like blown away and impressed. Mm-hmm. So then it cuts to the secretary and then the guy who was talking about being raised by a single mom. And they have snuck away from the party and they're in the daycare, okay, of the office. Mm-hmm. And he's like, wow, this is a really great little setup. You know, this must be nice for you, you know, being a single mom. And she's like, yeah, it was cool when TJ built this, you know, for us and everything. He's like, yeah, that's great. You know, you are such a good mom. And she's like, yeah, thanks. That's cool. And then they're about to kiss. And he's like, you know, I guess, I bet if you were my mommy, you'd want me to do my homework. And she's like, oh yeah, I'd definitely make you do your homework. And then they kiss. And then he goes like, so I bet if I didn't do my homework, you'd punish me. And she's like, oh, we're still on this? Okay. You know, I guess. And then they start making out and they get down on the floor and then he crawls into a baby position. And it weirds her out. And she's like, oh my God, okay, no. Okay, I guess this is a fetish thing that you have. All right, no, I am not okay with this, And he's like, oh, come on, I've been a bad boy, mommy. Come on. And she's like, no. And he goes, my diaper. And she's like, okay, I gotta go. Then we see Nate, and he is outside running to the ATM. Goes to the ATM, and he can only pull out $200 at every ATM, so he has to run around town to get the whole $2,000.
Yeah.
He gets hit by a fucking car. And it's like real violent looking, but he just like gets up, and he's like, I'm okay, it's fine. And he just keeps running. Okay, and then it shows Jason and Tracy getting out of the elevator to do this mysterious thing they did last year. And they come out onto the dance floor, and they're wearing these giant snowman suits. Like those jackets those suits you can put on to look like a fucking sumo wrestler.
Yeah.
But they're snowmen. Yeah. And they do this big choreographed dance routine, and they get everybody excited about dancing. Like even Rob Corddry just like starts to feel it and starts to dance a little bit. Okay. Everybody's dancing. And then it cuts to the hooker looking at the two guys that were making fun of Nate. And she goes, okay, so you dickheads want to buy some cocaine? And they're like, yeah, okay. She's like, come here. So then it cuts to TJ talking with Walter Davis. And he's like, they're having a drink. And he's like, man, look at all these lights that are hanging around the office. Do you think you could grab onto those and just like swing? And do you think you could make it to the other set before you fell? Like, could you swing around this whole office on these lights, like fucking Tarzan? And the guy's just like, yeah, you are losing me here, man. I don't understand you. He's like, oh, come on. So then he's like, maybe I should just go. And as he's walking, we see that the hooker has put her purse down next to the snow machine and all of the white paper bags that are used to load it. Okay? As she's selling coke to these two guys, some bags of coke fall out of her purse. Mary, the HR lady, walks by, grabs one of them, and throws it into the snow machine. Okay? And then right as Walter Davis is walking by the front of it, it blows coke right into his face, all fucking over him.
Oh, shit.
Okay? And he's covered in white dust and shit. And TJ looks at him and just goes, oh, man, you got snowblowed. Oh, they say it's good luck, though. And Walter Davis is just like trying to brush himself off. So then Jason and Tracy, they like sneak out onto the roof. And she's like, during all those fucking sexual harassment seminars or anything, this is usually where I am. This is my secret spot. And he's like, oh, this is cool. Yeah. And they end up getting locked out there. And it's fucking snowing and it's cold and everything. And she's like, no, the door never locks. It never locks. And he's like, yeah, but, it's nighttime. So that's why. So they're stuck out there. And she pulls out a joint and she's like, this is your secret Santa gift. And he's like, oh, wow. All right. Well, you don't want to know where I'm keeping yours. And it's like, haha. And then it cuts back to TJ and Walter Davis. And Walter Davis is now coked out of his fucking mind. Okay. And he's having the best night of his life.
All right.
Okay.
Fuck yeah.
Now he's loving the party. The party by now is like really starting to get jumping. Okay. Mm-hmm. Everybody's getting fucked up. And Walter and TJ are like, yeah, let's get fucked up. And fucking Walter is like, you know what? This is the greatest party ever. I see the light now. I see it. I see all the possibilities for our companies. And it's like really happening, okay? It's starting to happen. So then there's this montage of just people having a great fucking time at this crazy fucking party. Then it shows Jennifer Aniston at the airport. And it's all snowy and shit, so flights are getting delayed and canceled, okay? And she's all pissed off. And she's like, well, isn't there anything you can do? Isn't there someone you can call to fix this? Get me out of here. And the flight attendant is like, well, that would be God, ma'am. And then Jennifer Aniston just goes, oh, her? Oh, okay. And it's like, ooh. So then she goes and sits back down in her chair and looks at her little Cinnabon packet, and it's gone. And there's this little girl sitting across from her playing with a doll and has Cinnabon shit all over her face. And she's like, did you eat my cinnamon bun? And she's like, nope. She's like, oh. She goes, what's your name? The little girl's like, Darcy. So then she like gets on her phone and she goes, Santa? Yeah, I just wanted to talk to you about this little girl, Darcy. She's been a shit this year. Okay, so when you're, don't give her any presents or anything like that. And the little girl's getting freaked out because she's young enough to like that really affect her.
Yeah.
Then at the party, one of this lady is like, she's like, yeah, I'm really gonna screw with Mary from HR, and she writes this tweet that says like, best party ever, everybody come down, blah blah blah, and she's like, who'd you send it to? She's like, everybody in Chicago. So then it cuts to TJ, and he's on stage, and he's like fucking singing some fucking rap songs and shit, and he gets Mary up there. She starts dancing. So TJ's singing Let Me Clear My Throat, and there's this part where they're like, freeze! And then Mary just freezes,
Yeah.
and then she just falls off of the stage, like on purpose. She stage dives, okay? And everybody carries her around, and then they put her down on the dance floor, and she's like feeling it now. She's like totally fucking dancing her ass off. She's letting go, okay? And then she ends up in the middle of a big dance floor circle with Rob Corddry, who hates her. And then they start having like a little dance off, and then they start dancing together, and they're obviously now like into each other.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to Jason and Tracy, and they're out there stuck. And he's like, so there's not a Jimmy Butler stocking hanging at your house? And she's like, no, man. And you know what? You could have dated me, but, you fucked up. And he's like, yeah, you know what? I fucked up. I should have done this a long time ago. And he goes to kiss her, and then the fucking door opens up, and it's Rob Corddry. And he's just like, comes out and starts pissing in the snow. Okay, and they're like, whoa, hey, Rob. And he's like, yeah, oh, hey, what's going on, guys? Just, wow. Oh, I see what you're doing there. You're trying to get it on. Good thing I'm not going number 2. And they're like, okay, yeah, it's fine. Let's just go in. And they pass him, and he's like, I'm marking my territory. This is my territory. So then they come out, and they see on stage TJ with Walter Davis. And Walter Davis is like, I love this company. I love it. And I wanna work with Xenotech. I want to work with you guys. And then they're like, oh my God, we just got it. Did we just land the account? TJ just landed this fucking account, and he has got Walter Davis on stage like screaming out into the mic, when I say Xeno, you say tech, Xenotech. And it's going crazy, and it's a huge fucking success. So he's like, I love this company. I want to work with you. And then it cuts to Jennifer Aniston in an Uber. And this big fat lady is driving it, and she's talking about her name, because Jennifer Aniston's name is Carol, I guess. She's like, yeah, you look like a Carol. It's a real boring name. You should be an Uber driver. And she's like, yeah, no, it's fine. I have a job. And she's like, yeah, but you can be the CEO of your own car. And she's like, I am a fucking CEO. Will you just get me here? I'm trying to go over to this office, the Xenotech office. She's like, oh, yeah, I've already dropped off like 4 people at that party that they're having. And she's like, what? So she makes her take her there. So Nate is, he's texting the hooker, and he's like, I have the money, where are you? And he can't find her. So then him and the secretary lady are talking, and she's like, this fucking guy over here, he's got some weird baby fetish. Why can't I just meet a nice guy? And he's like, you totally deserve a nice guy. You totally do. And you can see, oh, those two should be together. Mm-hmm. And they might like each other and stuff. But then the 2 fuckers come up, and they're like, hey, this guy, Larry, he's got a story to tell you about your girlfriend. He's like, yeah, she gave me a hand job in the bathroom for $40. And he's like, God damn it. So then there's also a whole shit ton of people in the copy room that are all like making copies of their boobs and their butts and stuff. And this guy jumps up to sit on the Xerox machine, and then he cracks it. And he's like, oh man, I was just going to do my dick and balls. And then they're like, oh, let's use the 3D printer. And then, yep. He goes and puts his dick in the scanner for it or whatever, and they start 3D printing dicks and balls to like pass out at the party. So then Jennifer Aniston arrives just in time to see Walter Davis up on the balcony going like, I love this company. I love it. I'm going to do what you said to do, TJ. I'm going to do it. I'm going to swing.
Oh, fuck.
And then fucking TJ is like, oh, yeah, you totally stole my idea, but, it's cool. And then Jennifer Aniston is like, your idea? And then he just goes, oh, no, it's fine. It doesn't have anything to do with this. And she's all pissed off that they're having this party and shit. And he's like, I feel so alive. And then he swings. Okay.
Okay.
The lights do not hold his weight at all. So basically, he just jumps off of the balcony and falls onto some fucking file cabinets, okay? And it is a very serious fall.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, the preview leads you to believe like he's going to be like, I'm okay. He is not. Okay. They called an ambulance. He's on the stretcher and shit. And they're like, oh, man, I'm so sorry this happened to you. And he turns to face them, and his mouth is just like nothing but blood and missing teeth.
Oh, shit.
They're taking him away on the stretcher. And he's still all fucked up. He's like, take me back to the party. I want to go back. So they're all talking about him and like, oh, God, it's so awful that happened to him. Jennifer Aniston is still there with him. And then Mary's like, oh, yeah, I know. It's so awful. First he got fired, and now this. And they're like, wait, what? What are you talking about?
What?
And it turned out that at the close of that business day, he was fired by his company that they were trying to get the contract with. So they didn't get the account. So Jennifer, yeah, man. So you're like, well, why was he like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. And it's like he was probably like losing his mind or something like that. Or he just wanted to, let go for once and party his ass off.
Yeah.
So then Jennifer Aniston's like, okay, well, that's it. No contract. I'm shutting you guys down. And he's like, oh, no. TJ's like, no, you can't do it. Come on, everybody. We tried so hard. We pulled together for this, And she's like, yeah, good luck being the fun guy, when you have to fire everyone at this party. And she says that everybody fucking hears her.
Oh.
So everybody's upset. And then as she's leaving, she just turns to Jason Bateman and goes, see you in New York. And then TJ and Tracy are both like, what the fuck? What does she mean, see you in New York? And he's like, oh, she offered me a job, but, I did not say yes. And then Jennifer Aniston just goes, yeah, but you didn't say no. And then she leaves. And Jason Bateman is like following TJ around, who's now like, you're dead to me. Okay. And also Tracy, because she's all upset at him too. And he has to follow her into the ladies' room, which is full of fucking people. And then he's trying to find out what stall she's in, and he opens one up, and it's DJ Calvis with like 6 naked women. He just opens up the door, and DJ Calvis just looks at him, who is just an office employee by day, just looks at him and goes, Jason, it's happening, man. It's happening. It's finally happening. And he's like, that's great, buddy. That's great. And he just shuts the door. So then she comes out, and she's like, yeah, I got offered a job in New York too. And he's like, oh, wait, what? Really? And she's like, yeah, triple the salary and also an apartment overlooking Central Park. And he's like, yeah, that's great. I was offered only double and moving costs. And she's like, yeah, well, the difference is I said no. And he's like, oh. And she's like, but, you can't do that because you need a safety net. So, that's the difference between us. And fuck you, asshole. We're done. So everybody wants to kill TJ because, they're all going to lose their jobs. And they're like, look at all the fucking money that he spent on this huge giant party, He could have just given that to us all as like severance packages or whatever. And then the secretary jumps in and she's like, yo, assholes, he paid for this himself. He paid for all of this with his own money. He's gone broke doing this. And they're like, wait, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah. She's like, he has totally emptied his trust fund, and that's how he built the daycare and all this other stuff for all of you guys. So you know what? Fuck all of you. He's done amazing. And it turns out that he has he's learned how to be a good man from his father. Yeah. Treat your people like family. So that's like what he's been doing, but like no one has known it. And TJ was all upset about Jason kind of betraying him, or he thought he was betraying him. And he goes to the bar and he's like, give me a drink, give me 2 bottles, and he takes them and he runs out of the building. Okay, and he's outside while the hooker is getting back into the car with her pimp. And he's like, who wants to party with Santa? And then the hooker looks at her pimp. She's like, oh, hey, he is rich as hell and he's also dumb as fuck. So they're like, all right, let's go get him. So they're like, we'll party with you. And he's like, all right. And he gets into the car with them. And he's drunk as hell. And then they just drive away. So then Nate, who saw that, is like telling everybody that, yeah, he's with the hooker and the pimp, you know. And so now they start to figure out how to go find him. And Nate and the secretary have to go and talk those two assholes that were bothering him into hacking his phone so they can track him.
Uh-huh.
And they find those two guys in their office sitting down with two other girls from the party, and they're all getting naked, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, it's going to be so great. We're going to connect on a spiritual level. It's amazing." And then Nate and the secretary just walk in, and Nate goes, "You guys are not connected on a spiritual level. They are not psychics or anything like that. They just hacked your Facebook." And they're like, "Oh my God." And then they leave. So he kind of makes fools out of them. And he's like, "I need you to track this guy's phone." And they're like, "Why would we help you, you dipshit," you know? And then he gets in their face and he screams and he's like, "Because I'm your boss and I'm telling you to." And they're like, okay. So he's like claiming back his authority now that he's empowered with the secretary who likes him.
Yeah.
So then Jason and Tracy, they have to go and chase him down. And they go into the parking garage and they're fighting over whose car to take because it turns out neither of them brought their car. So then Mary from HR speeds up and screeches to a halt in her Kia minivan. And she's like, "Come on, let's go." So then there's this fucking moment where they're like, "All right." And they got to open up the sliding door of the minivan and Jason Bateman can't work it. And she's like in the driver's seat and she's turning back. She's like, no, you got to lift it and pull. You got to lift it and pull it. Okay. You're doing it wrong. And he's like, it's not working. And it's not. And then she has to like lean out and do it herself. And then she goes, "Oh, okay. It is locked. I'm sorry." Okay. So then it cuts to TJ with the pimp. And he is snorting coke out of a giant snowflake that has been sculpted out of cocaine. And him and the pimp are trading stories about how hard it is to be a boss. Because nobody feels sorry for you because you're the fucking head man.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're connecting. And she's about to get his money because he's like, "Yeah, all I got left, I gave everything to those people. All I got left is $300,000. You know? And it turns out that he's wearing it in like a suit underneath his Santa suit with all these pockets all over it, and they're all just full of cash. Okay. And she's like, "So where is your $300,000? And he's like, "It's on my person. It's safe." And she's like, "Oh, it's in your personal safe, huh? Well, all right." So she's like, "Let's go." And she loads him into her car, and he's like really fucked up now. Okay. Mm-hmm. But he's driving. And then it cuts back to the minivan. And Jennifer Aniston is with them, and it's her, Mary, Tracy, and Jason, okay? And they're speeding towards this fucking pimp's club that she owns, okay? And Mary gets scared of what's going to happen there, so she, like, starts to confess something. And she's like, I have to get something off my chest, you know? She's like, 2 years ago, I filed a sexual harassment complaint on myself. And they're like, "What? Why?" And she's like, "Well, I was in the copy room, and then Jeff so-and-so walked in, and I pretended to drop my stapler or whatever so that I could bend over to pick it up and graze his butt with my nose." And they're like, obviously weirded out, but they're like, you know, Jason Bateman's like, you know, that doesn't sound too bad, you know? That's okay. And then she goes, "And then I said to him, 'Fuck me, Buster, or I'll ruin you.'" And then Jason Bateman just goes, "Yep, that's harassment." So then they pull up to the club, and there's this big bouncer outside. And Jason Bateman makes Jennifer Aniston give him her overcoat, which has like big fluffy collar. So now he looks like a pimp. And now none of them are wearing jackets, so they look like hookers. Like out in the snow, they try to get in, and it doesn't work. And then Jennifer Aniston just ends up speaking Russian to the guy and gets him inside. They walk inside, and it's like seriously fucking seedy looking. And like there's this big bald dude sitting at a table with his hand on the table, and he's just like, he's doing 5-finger fillet on himself, okay? Mm-hmm. Where he's just like jutting the knife in between all of his fingers really fast.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Mary from HR just like walks over real slow and sits down at the table And as the camera is about to pan past her, she puts her hand on the table for him to do it to her. And then it just cuts away. So then they're trying to find TJ, and they end up talking to the pimp's bodyguard. And he's like, I'm not telling you shit. And then Jennifer Aniston, who is an ass kicker, as is evident by her taking down TJ in his office, she starts fucking fighting him. Because she's like, I had 6 years of Krav Maga. And she fucking beats the shit out of all of these guys in this fucking room. Then they find out that TJ's not even there. So they have to go get back in the van and chase him down. Then it cuts back to like a slow motion montage of what is happening at the party now. Now it's like gone way out of control. And it's just like a fucking sea of people because everybody in Chicago has shown up now. And there's like Jesus riding through the party on a fucking horse. And the security lady is like going blood drunk with like her 2 tasers. She's just like tasing all of these weirdos at this party and everything. So then TJ's driving the car with the hooker and the pimp. And they like blow through a red light and everything. And TJ's like, nah, it's fine. Because now the pimp and the hooker are all scared of him driving and everything. He blows through a red light and he's like, no, don't worry about it. Those are just suggestions. It's fine. It's fine. So then the gang in the van, they're driving and they can't fucking work the AC. And they're all fighting about it. And Jennifer Aniston is like, yeah, you guys are my technological crew. That's great. That is just great. She's like, man, what is that smell? And then Mary just goes, oh, I'm not going to lie. I have been farting this whole time. And it cuts back to TJ, and he's like, that's it. I'm going to do it. I got nothing else left. I'm going to do it. I'm going to feel alive. I'm going to do what I've always wanted to do. We're going to jump the bridge. So he starts speeding towards it. And then the minivan pulls up alongside the car. And the big side door swings open. And Jennifer Aniston is like, what are you doing, you fucking idiot? And then Jason is like, yeah, okay, now how about the nice, supportive version? And she's like, what are you doing, you fucking idiot? And he's like, I'm going to jump the bridge. I'm going to do it. And then Jason Bateman's like, you know what? That's it. I never should have, betrayed you or anything like that. I should have told you what happened. So you know what? I'm with you. If you're jumping the bridge, I am too. And then all the other women in his van are like, wait, what? So they're speeding towards the bridge, and then Mary just like grabs onto the oh shit handle above her seat and just screams out, I love America! And just as they're about to go up the bridge, Jennifer Aniston just goes, I am not going to die in a minivan, and reaches forward and then turns the steering wheel, and it turns it so that they ram into TJ's car.
Yeah.
Okay? So they swerve to a halt, but TJ goes off the side of the bridge.
Shit.
Okay? Like launches into the air and everything. And he crashes into some building. Not into the river. Okay? I don't know the physics of this, but that's what happened.
Okay.
And it turns out what he crashed into was like some major server hub for the whole city of Chicago. So now the whole city has a big internet outage. Okay? So it's on the news and everything. And they're like, if you need to order Christmas presents, you're screwed because there's no internet at all for the whole city. So then they're in the hospital and they're waiting and they're, to find out if he's okay. And Jennifer Aniston, Tracy, and Jason Bateman get into an argument over how fast they should have been going to make the jump. Because Jason was like, I could have made that jump, by the way. Jennifer's like, no way. There's no way you could have. You would have had to have been going 100. And Tracy's like, no, only 90. It's simple math. And then Jennifer Aniston is like, yeah, but you haven't accounted for anything like wind or the weight of all of us in the van, real world conditions. That's what you're not looking at there. And then Tracy's like, that's it. That's what I'm missing in my algorithm for the Anywhere software is real world conditions because internet signal is always bad and stuff like that. And that's why my numbers have never worked. And she's like, I have to, and then Jason is like, you need to get back to the office. So they are speeding back to the office to go and save the company. Because if she can get this algorithm working and they can launch this software, then they can save the internet in the city of Chicago and everything's going to be fine and their company's going to be making money again.
Do they care about TJ Miller?
Yeah, it turns out TJ was going to be fine. And she's like, yeah, Jennifer's like, yeah, he's always been like that. He's just like indestructible.
Yeah.
You know, they said that the doctor actually said that the crash actually fixed a previous fracture that he had. So they get back to the office, and it is now kind of the morning after, and the whole place is just fucked. All right. Pretty much everybody's gone. Other people are passed out. Everything is wrecked. All of the vending machines have been like thrown out of the windows and down into the street. It's like complete chaos was happening while they were gone. And then those two assholes that were screwing with Nate have been tied up. Okay? And they're now passed out. And then above them on the wall is written their internet search history. And it's stuff like, what does human meat taste like? And like herpes dating service and stuff like that. It's all embarrassing for them. So while they're trying to fix the algorithm, Mary comes in with donuts and coffee, and she runs across Rob Corddry. And he's like, you know what? I still hate all of your rules, but you can really dance wonderfully. And she just looks at him. She's all embarrassed and like smiling at him, and she just goes, put on some pants. And then it shows him from far away, and he's like, we've got no pants on. And she's walking away from him, and she just goes, for now. So they're going to be together later. And everybody's working together to launch this software. Everybody's got to go and pull all the cables and do all this technical shit. And then she's like, all right, here we go. And then she pushes the button, and then nothing happens. And they're like, well, we still have power. You know, you didn't take out the power grid, so that's good. She's like, that's what I thought was going to happen, Tracy. So then they're sitting there, and they're like, nothing. And they're like, oh, man, it didn't work. And then all of a sudden, all their phones start going ding, ding, like they have signal again. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we got it. And they're all happy and everything, and they're all celebrating and going crazy. And then Jason and Tracy kiss. And then Mary from HR comes up. She's like, okay, you two, I'm going to need you to fill out a disclosure of relationship form and then sign it, okay? And then next to them is Nate and the secretary, okay? And Nate just goes, hey, Mary, sign this. And then he grabs the secretary's face, and he's about to kiss her. And then she pulls back. She's like, whoa, man. I do kind of like you, but, why don't we have coffee or something first? And he's like, oh, yeah, no, that's totally what I meant when I said sign this. And she's like, screw it. And then they kiss anyway. And then it cuts to TJ Miller and Jennifer Aniston in the hospital. And they're talking, and they end up like making peace. And he's like, I'm sorry, you know what? You always had to do all the hard work. You never got to be the fun one. And she's like, yeah, thank you. Thank you for apologizing for that. So they're bonding. And then, they get signal too, and they realize that they fixed the software, so everything's going to be fine. And then Walter Davis walks into his hospital room in his own hospital gown, and his mouth is all fucked up. And he just comes up to TJ, and he's like, I just want to thank you for the best night of my life. And Jennifer Aniston is like, oh my God. And like, he's like sober now, but he's like, yeah, it was amazing. You know what? And he's leaving, and he just goes, I will see you Monday. And then he walks out, and you see his bare ass, and he's walking away. And then Jennifer Aniston and TJ Miller look at each other, and TJ just goes, I guess we just hired Walter Davis. Like, that's what he was saying yes to. Yeah.
Okay.
So they get outside, and TJ's in his wheelchair, and he's like, everybody is outside waiting for him. And they're like, let's go. They're going to get in the Xenotech van and go keep celebrating and keep partying. And then the doctor who's out there with him is like, oh, you can't do that. You can't have any alcohol on your medication. And then he's like, yeah, I totally won't. Don't worry about it. And then he looks at everybody else, and he's like, yeah, I'm totally going to do it. It's fine. And they're like, yeah, we got you. And the doctor is like, I can see you. Don't do that shit. You can't do it. All right, screw it. Just go. So then they leave. And Jennifer Aniston is like, oh, not me. I called an Uber. And they're like, nah, come on. Come and be part of your company, everything's going to be fine now. Everything is awesome. Come on, come and be the fun one now. And she's like, all right. She gets in the van. So they all leave, and then her Uber driver shows up, and it's her old Uber driver. And she's calling out to this old lady on the street, and she's like, Carol! Carol. And the lady's like, no, my name's not Carol. She's like, sorry, you look like a Carol. And then she gets a ding on her phone and she reads it and she's like, oh, canceled? Bunch of bitches. And then it cuts to the credits. And during the credits is a whole bunch of outtakes of shit. And one of them is like Jennifer Aniston talking to the little girl. And she just looks at her and goes, you bitch. Like right to this little girl's face. And you see a whole bunch of pics from the photo booth at the party and everybody just having a good time. And then that's it.
All right. Did you like that ending?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all right. So there you have it. Office Christmas Party on Movies with Ron.
Good job, man.
Thanks. I might have oversold it a little beforehand. But it was good enough, you know? It was a funny movie. I was hoping for it to be another sausage party.
Yeah.
It's what I really wanted this movie to be. I had a really good feeling about it beforehand. But it was just, you know, basically a Jason Bateman comedy. They're always good, but none of them are sausage party.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, let's go party.
Let's do it.
It's been fun.
Happy birthday, Rick.
Thank you.
Movies with Ron.
What's going on?
Ian McShane played Santa. In something. Hang on, man. I fucking know it. But I think he played a killer in a Santa suit.
What is it? Oh, shit.
Hang on.